Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. Welcome to the live broadcast. I am an e-commerce entrepreneur, the co-founder of List Easier, both the document, which is all this stuff behind us going up, but also the List Easier, the software. So we have been busy. I usually start these broadcasts by first finding my own live. So we're going to do that first. And then I discuss what's changed in the last 24 hours. So let's go find the live. Welcome to Friday, everyone, by the way. Here we go. Turn off my own volume so we don't have that insane echo. And people are starting to roll in here into the live chat. Hopefully everyone is keeping up with what they have to do, continuing to list into the weekend. I noticed there are some people, strong New Year's resolutions. They're already starting to bump off. You don't have to do that. You can keep going. You can keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, what's changed for us and what's changed for you? What's changed for us in the last 24 hours? We have a truck coming, I think today or this weekend or maybe Monday. That's one of the big things going on. We've signed some big accounts. So I don't want to say which businesses yet, but we have signed big accounts. That's been a big change for us. So these are big enterprise clients that are using the software now. So I think with these big kind of names and, the partnership that I don't want to say partnership, but as close as we are with eBay, I think this is really going to be groundbreaking once we start pushing this kind of news out. But for now, we're going to keep quiet about it. So that's a big change. We're really excited about that. It's Friday. It's weekend. Pumped for that. And what's changed for you? Hopefully you all are continuing to do what you got to do to grow your businesses. Not stressing out, not grinding, just getting your stuff up day by day. We just keep going. We're not killing ourselves. Grinding is 2024. We're in 2026. Not about grinding anymore. It's just consistently doing the few things you have to do. And I think that's the big counter argument right there against when people say, well, listing is so easy now that everyone's going to do it. I'm telling you, walking around the block is easy and most people don't do it. You still have to proceed with it. If you choose to build a business, you want to do it, you still have to do it, right? You still got to list, you still got to do your things. What else has changed? There is some private label stuff going on in this warehouse. Doesn't really have anything to do with List Easier or the List Easier business, but that's been going on. And I saw some new bubble wrap and some new boxes show up here. I don't know if that came in yesterday or the day before, but it's new to me because I just saw it. So that will be, I think, helpful for us in getting this stuff shipped out. I know we were running low on the record boxes because they're selling really well. And you may see, if you follow List Easier Records, some really super rare stuff going up. Really hard to find rare stuff. So that's our big change in the last 24 hours. The numbers for the document. I call it the document because that's what it is. We're documenting what we're doing every single day. We have 2 accounts that are live on eBay. List Easier _records, List Easier _books. Come check it out. Go to eBay, search up our store, hit the heart button, and then you're saving us as a seller and you can watch what we're up to. If you want to, you don't have to. We have 6,559 listings up, and total dollar amount listed is $157,219 worth of listed product. I think in this warehouse still, if I were to guess, I would say another 50,000, you think? Still 50,000, maybe 75,000 still ahead of us. And then we've got the first shipment coming hopefully soon. That's going to be another $250,000 worth of product coming in. And we're in a good rotation then, because then we have those big deals coming in over and over and over again. We've partnered with a very large business, a large supplier, and they're going to be supplying us moving into the future. So this number, you're going to see the listed value continue to go up, and we are now 26 days live. Total revenue right here, $6,868.73. I think this is incredible. We had to go through the verification gate. We had to do all this stuff. Really excited about the progress. So far, the experience has been great. One little bump we had was that some of the parcels that were sent to USPS accidentally shipped them to Europe and back. So those have all been delivered now too. Some of those customers we had to refund. It was a little bit of a pain, but these are things that happened and it all worked out and everything was good. So our feedback is good. All the customers were reasonable. I think pretty happy, honestly. This is doing much better than I thought it would. I think I said 6 to 8 weeks of we're going to be losing money. I don't think so. I think we're already at the break even point, and now we're going to ride this for a little bit as we build up our systems or processes. But moreover, shelving, boxes, like these are all inventory management. I mean, that's pretty much aligned, but these are the things that we have to continue to work on. So the topic for the day was big deals, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really apply to all of you. It applies more to us and this business. But I think the end of the day, the story is the same. Whether you're doing big deals or small deals, you just put stuff through the engine, through the process, and it comes out the other end. And the system is designed to optimize listings on the other end so that more buyers see it, and hopefully that converts to more sales conversions. So that's the whole point of it. Okay, so that was a mouthful. I don't have. Let me think of something that, because Beard says, the first 15 minutes are really, there's good meaty stuff in there. So I have to think of a good meaty topic to talk about. I had a few yesterday and I was feeling really good about it. I'm like, I could do 12 probably super important points, super important things in business. I will say that I think really a big one that's on my mind, and I think a lot of people have run into problems with this, is the mindset of wanting to do everything yourself, of wanting to have control and doing everything yourself. I think this is a very dangerous thing, but a lot of business owners have it. So if you look at a lot of successful business owners, as they scale up, they start taking, when you start, you control everything. But as you scale, you start delegating out and you start giving that control to people who maybe they're very good at that segment of the business, and you give them control, which will only benefit you, but then you have to be okay with losing control. This control of I can do it, it's me, I can do it all myself, that also blends into partnerships when it comes to getting stuff. You have to see it from the other person's point of view. If you're we all have this, like this driven, motivated, I can do it all myself. But when you start having, that outward facing personality when it comes to making deals, purchases, dealing with customers, sometimes it's not going to take you to where you want to go. You really have to build those partnerships and those relationships and let go of a little bit of control as you scale. Another reason why I say this is it affected me in my own business with WHS Stereo View, because I was doing everything and more and more and more of everything. I never said no. I was saying yes to everything, and I was getting totally bogged down. I was like doing 50% of a good job, 50% of a bad job on almost everything, but I was not doing great at anything. So, and a lot of that was I wanted to control all of it. And, for me with the software, that really changed when, I hired my kids and some high school students in the neighborhood to start listing. They were effectively beta testers as well with List Easier. And as soon as they did it, they're like, oh, this is easy. I all of a sudden got 8 hours back. It was incredible. So that changed my mindset. So now I almost see people who want to have control over every process in the business and want to have control over everything that happens. That's like a weakness. So for those of you who are scaling, letting go of control and putting that control in the hands of competent people while you still maintain leverage, of course, and you have to make sure that these people have your best interests at heart. Don't do it blindly. But if you are scaling, let go of a little bit of control. See what happens. You'll be surprised. You'd be surprised what people can do. And you'd be surprised how many people want to do a really good job, So anyway, that's that. It's a Friday topic. It's light, but I was thinking about control because I have run into people who are very control oriented. They need to have absolute control over everything. I've worked for people like that, and they micromanage everything that you do. That's dangerous. Good people don't want to work for people like that, and you can never grow unless you start handing these processes off to other people. Good people. Okay, let's just talk easy after that. Do you guys have any questions? What do you want to talk about today? The viewers are dropping, and I think it is because now this is just, it's not like an exciting thing anymore. We're talking about List Easier. It's like boring and reliable. The narrative is switching. It's just now people are like, yeah, okay, everyone uses AI listers, or a lot of people are using AI listers. Not everyone, but a lot of people in our community are using it. Broadly speaking, no. But when there's the pushback and all that other stuff, it becomes not exciting anymore. It's just, this is what we do to make money. I think this will eventually go into the bigger community. There's a vast difference between the response on YouTube with AI listing software versus Facebook. So you go to Facebook and it's like those people are living in 2 years ago. The YouTube people are living in the now. Those people, the Facebook people, are living in the 2 years ago. So it's very interesting to see just on the social media platforms, the difference there. Aloha says Spam Banshee. Aloha to you. In it to flip it says, let's get ready for a big weekend if eBay gets their stuff together. I don't know what's going on with them. It's slow for me, but I'm sure they're working on things. They always are. They always have to be. Tammy Axe Monkey says, hello. Good to see you. Snoopy Collector says, with the red hand, good to see you. Shooting the blood out of the fingers. Blood drawn from the middle finger. So good to see you, Tammy and Snoopy Collector. Star Beauty Bargain says, hey all, welcome Star Beauty. It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome. David Varner says, hello. Good to see you, David. JR Road Effort, it's alive, is here. Good to see you, JR. Flip It Good says, hello. Good to see you. Rin Resale says, the Los Angeles Dodgers have signed Josh Galt and List Easier. I will never do anything for the Dodgers after what they did to us, ever. 10 Hemlock says, hello, Josh and chat. Good to see you, 10 Hemlock. Tammy says, yesterday you asked anything. My question is, I know you have kids. Are you married? How do you balance life and business? I feel like I have a better balance, but also like I'm not getting enough done. So the personal stuff I'm going to leave out. But the balance between life and business is a good question. And honestly, I don't know that I have the answer to that. My mentality is that when it's business time, it's business time. So I have said to people, I'm sorry, right now I need to focus on my business, but when I am done, I will give you my time. But also, when it's my time with people, I'm not looking at my phone or answering emails. So if I'm out for dinner or I'm, golfing, I love to golf, I'm not looking at my phone, generally. So I really try and segment my time so that when it's work time, business time, it's work time, business time. If I don't finish the things that I have to do, I'm not going to beat myself up over it, doing my best. I think what helps, Tammy, for me, is eliminating tasks that don't push the needle forward. Now, sometimes I get into an operational sink, admittedly, where I'm doing tasks that absolutely have to be done. No one is noticing that they are getting done, but if I don't do them, everybody notices. If I don't do those tasks, it's going to be a world of hurt. So sometimes you get into those operational sinks, but I am mindful of not doing tasks that don't move the needle forward. Like, for example, making your own boxes. So if someone takes 2 hours to make their own boxes, that time is expensive. That doesn't push the needle forward. And if anything, it pulls the needle back, stuff like that. Trying to structure my day too. And sometimes this is hard, but I try to structure my day ahead of time. So if you were to look at my calendar, I don't know if I should show it because I don't want to have any personal stuff on here. But if you look at my calendar here, you can see it's all filled in. So I manage my time, by the hour. I have this meeting at 1:00, that meeting at 2:30. I have to be here at 4:45. I structure my day like that. And that way, if someone asks me something, they're like, hey, can you do this? I'm like, look, I'm sorry, I can't because of my schedule. I never used to do that, and it messed me up. So John and Beard will tell you, John especially, because John knew me already. We were doing the podcast together when it was the eBay Power Hour. But I would cancel. I'm like, look, I can't do it. I'm too busy. The truth is that I wasn't scheduling my time right. So now it's on my schedule. This is when we record the Profit Playbook podcast. Before, John and I were like, when do you want to record? And it would kind of be all over the place. Now it's like we record Thursdays at 1:00, period. So if you're not there, you miss the recording. Now that's in my calendar. So when people say to me, hey, Thursday at 1:00, can you jump in on the Zoom meeting? I'm like, no, I can't do it. I'm sorry, I have a prior commitment. That really works a lot better for me. So I hope that answers that question. Pig on the Porch says, should we not delete our batches? If you delete batches, your listing totals will erase off your dashboard. Yeah, Dave said he would fix that for everyone. Do you know if he did? So yeah, if you delete the batches, it messes with the dashboard, but it doesn't impact the listings. So the reason is those batches, when they complete, that gives us the dates that you did things. That's the only place we can pull the dates out of. We can't pull the dates from eBay because we don't take any information from eBay. We've always been operating under this strict policy of we push information from eBay, we don't take anything back. And now you see the reason why, because eBay has now changed their policy for people that are scraping and pulling information off of eBay. They don't want that anymore. We were well aware of that months and months and months ago. We've had those conversations with their devs of what they want and what they don't, what safety and compliance issues they see in the future popping up. So it's been a very strong working relationship. So we push data, we don't take data. So the only information we have is in your saved batches. Then when you delete those saved batches, we don't see the dates anymore. So there may be a fix for that with storing the data. That's probably a backend restructure, Pig on the Porch. So that wouldn't be a quick one. We'd have to restructure how we save data on the site. But yeah, if you spoke to Dave and he knows about it, he builds punch lists. So, it's not like he doesn't just say, okay, yeah, and then forgets about it. He has like these huge punch lists, and then they are constantly jockeying these punch list things that need to be done in priority. So wherever they are on that, they will do that, but I do think it requires a little bit of back end work. Kalub says, hey, Josh, keep the lives going. Always look forward to them as the radio while I'm sourcing online. That's awesome, Kalub. A lot of people here they're just working away. So it's, as an entrepreneur, I will say this, Kalub, thank you for unlocking this. As an entrepreneur, we're already only like 1% of the population. You all probably notice that because when you go out with other people and talk to them, the small talk is kind of boring to you. That's not really something that gets you going, but when people start talking business, you get excited. You're interested in that. So we're already a small portion. That makes it very hard to find people to talk to about these sorts of things. So this is a good outlet for business-oriented, business-minded people to talk about business and just kind of go back and forth with it while they work on their businesses. So thank you, Kalub. Most people watching this have never said anything. They've never commented. They're watching, they're working away, they're doing their thing, but they never say a word. Even the likes, you'll see the likes. Even a 500 view video will only get 20 likes because people are working. That's what they're doing. And I love that. I'd rather have that than everybody watching and commenting on all this other stuff and not, everybody likes the videos and lots of comments, that just means that I'm talking to the wrong people. Those people are there for entertainment. But thank you, Kloop. I appreciate you. Corey says, made it earlier today, but I can't stay long. Have a great Friday, everyone. Good to see you, Corey. Thank you for stopping by. Much appreciated. Check out Corey's channel, Grams and Pops Vintage. He's got a great channel he does with his wife, and you can see them building their business, and they have massively, in my opinion, scaled their operations in a very short period of time. So check them out. I've always enjoyed their channel. Great channel. Snoopy Collector says, it took me 7 minutes to get the stream to show up on my TV app. It was on my Google and on my Mac fine. I don't know why that is, Snoopy Collector. I've had that issue with, the streaming thing in the back of the computer. Sometimes they update it and then that thing doesn't work, or that's in the back of the TV, the receiver. Sometimes they update it, YouTube does, and that software doesn't get updated in the receiver, and all of a sudden it takes too long or it doesn't work. I've noticed that too. The Buckeye Farm. Is this Chris? The Buckeye Farm says, Amazon moving away from USPS. Shipping costs going to be crazy. And oil isn't new all-time highs yet. What are we going to do, I think that with shipping costs, they're out to lunch, and they are... They're out to lunch on shipping costs. They don't really have a pulse on what's going on for most people. I think that the USPS doesn't care, in my opinion. I don't think their mandate anymore, it used to be, was making it affordable for everyone. I think now the mandate is either make it profitable or it doesn't exist anymore. So those are the two options that the USPS is given. So, of course, for them to become profitable, they have to remove services. So, the move to ground advantage and getting rid of first class was getting stuff out of the air, because air is expensive, and raising prices on everything, and then slowly removing services. Canada Post did it. Canada Post did it, all those things. And then nobody uses it anymore. The third parties start coming in because they're cheaper and more effective. That's what's going to keep USPS grounded. No pun intended. Dende Cordipo says, I think to keep views up, what are some specifics with List Easier that are on the immediate roadmap? Then talk about brief business tips and then Q&A. Yeah, so here's the thing, Dende Core. As far as views are concerned, honestly, it doesn't matter to me. If there were 20,000 people watching, I would rather have, a small number of focused business operators. I would way rather talk to that crowd than have trolls and people coming in back and forth and all this and that. I'm happy, very happy with what we have here, what we've built, and all of us together. This is a community. This feels good. This is what we want, rather than, tons and tons of strangers. But as far as talking about what's on the immediate roadmap, it's difficult because when we start showing our hand, we get copycats. So, think of it this way. When we push something out, you all know us. When we push this thing out, it is going to be the best that it can possibly be made. When we start showing our hand, and it has happened before, we start saying, well, we're going to launch this on this date, or we're working on this. Somebody will launch a really shitty version of what we're working on the day before or a few days before. And that really hurts the market because it breaks trust in the market. And people will say, I've tried that. It doesn't work. It's garbage. So we had that already where we were very vocal and very sharing of everything that we were working on. And we just had people jumping on us, stepping on us every step of the way. Of course, we're still here and we're going to continue to innovate, but we do have to be careful because there are competitors that will try, and we have to be careful. So that's why I don't really talk about that stuff anymore. It really kind of stung. It really took, when stuff like that happens, sometimes it takes months to rebuild reputation, even though it doesn't impact us. So we had to deal with when we first launched, we had to deal with all these people who are now under the impression that AI listing is a scam. And we have to now convince you, no, it's not. Trust us, use it, show us using it, everything else. They're like, no, I've tried it already. It sucks. That's what happens, sometimes in a frontier market. And now we're very cautious of what we say. So anything that's on our roadmap, if we're not in immediate launch or it's not, right there, I don't want to bring it up as much anymore. The second part of that is on me, Den Decor. So with Flex, we were ready to launch Flex, I don't know, let's say the middle of December. So I said Flex is coming in the middle of December. It is so powerful, you won't believe it. Beta testers were using it. Things were okay. All of a sudden, James found something. It was a very minor thing, but it was huge. The minor thing that James found was that there are different accounts. eBay accounts behave differently. It really depends on your age, the age of the account. There are a few other things, and that was a huge thing that James uncovered. We weren't aware, so James would run into an issue that Beard wouldn't run into, and we couldn't run into. So then we couldn't replicate the issue. Beard would run into something that nobody else was having. We would run into things that those guys weren't running into, and it was like, what is going on? And it was different for every single category. So that ended up, taking almost another 30 days, 20 days of hardcore backend infrastructure of now having to determine the age of the account so that the accounts can operate optimally and they don't run into these problems. And it delayed the launch back like 20 days or so. And, people are like, when is this thing going to launch? When is it going to launch? You said it was going to launch. It's not launched. Why isn't it here yet? And then, that makes me look bad because I promised something, I'm not delivering on it. So now with those rollouts, I'm a little bit more cautious and hesitant. We never would have thought that was the case. But this also creates, a bit of a moat too, because anybody who wants to do what we're doing, they're going to have to figure all that out too with the different accounts, and they behave differently within different APIs, within different categories. It is a ton of work. Okay, Rob, special interest. Hello from the UK. All good over here. Buying, listing, and selling. Relisted half my shop in 15 days. That is awesome. Rob's special interest. I know there are a few punch list items in the UK that they are working on, but that is awesome that you're crushing it. Way to go. Awesome. Relisted half your shop in 15 days. And how long did it take you the first time to list that shop? That's incredible. Good question. Den Decor Depot says, what are the largest categories on eBay you see being listed for list easier? That's a good question. Probably clothing would be our number one, I would imagine. Books is a big one. Probably clothing and books, I would say, are the biggest. Media would be probably third. I would bunch in like all the media categories into third. A surprising number of sports cards and non-sports cards are listed through List Easier. I think that's people who are just using up their subscription listings. Health and beauty, a lot of health and beauty surprisingly goes up. That's probably in around number 5. But I would say clothing is a distant number 1. It's probably the top category. Would be my guess. Axe Monkey Tammy says, is there any reason to keep old batches? Once they are listed, I haven't deleted any, but was wondering if it matters to keep them or not. It doesn't matter, Tammy. It just changes the dashboard. So if you delete all your old batches, then you'll see your numbers will stay the same, but it will compress the days into one. So it will show for the month you listed $40,000 and on one day. It takes away our date stamp data. So that it only changes your dashboard. If that doesn't matter to you, just delete it. It doesn't impact listings. It impacts nothing. So whether you keep it or you don't keep it, that's totally up to you. Either way, it has no impact on your account. But if you feel better clearing that out, like, hey, this was listed, it's old news, get rid of it, go for it. No impact on listings. It just changes the way the numbers are counted in the dashboard. So basically how it's shown to you. But nothing changes. Nothing changes otherwise. But if you like your dashboard, showing on this day I did this much, on that day I did that much, on that day I did that much. If you like that graph and you find that motivating and the total listed and everything else, then just let the batches sit and maybe delete them after a few months if you want to. 10 Hemlock says, in my small circle of people, there's no entrepreneurs that I can talk to. I'm with you on that. I mean, Super Dave, of course. And I do have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs and run businesses, but it took me a long time to get there. And, I've gone through, as I've gotten older, I've seen as I've gotten older and as I've really pursued business and investing, my friend group has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I feel like now it's just a small handful of people, but I can go golfing with someone and run into another business owner on the golf course, and I could talk to that person all day long. We can just talk about just keep talk. But, and it's probably me too, if I were to be paired with someone who were like a doctor or a lawyer, I don't know that if I had anything to really talk about, honestly. So, I have found that, friends drop off. I'm drawn towards other entrepreneurs because we have shared experience. I really enjoy talking about the war stories. I like talking to people about the time that they didn't almost make it, because to me, that's like the strongest point as an entrepreneur. That's where most people walk away or give up. So those people that are like, oh, I went bankrupt, this is what happened, or I almost lost everything, or I lost like $2 million in one day. Those war stories are very defining, those deep scars. And I like hearing them. I find them interesting. And I've got my own too. I've got my own. Diane Vanderlinden says, sometimes others get jealous as well, it seems, when you have a business. They shouldn't be, because this is really difficult. This, for a lot of people, they only see the highlight reel. So they say, oh, how's business going? You're like, oh, great, we're busy, it's crazy. And that's all, not the, 3 months ago, I was sitting on the floor of my bedroom having a nervous breakdown because I couldn't make, payroll or something like that. They don't get to see any of that. They only see the highlight reel. They're only showing the highlight reel, because business is hard. It's hard. And the people who say it's not hard, I don't believe it, because everyone I know who does business and has done well with it has said the same thing. It almost killed me. This period of time almost killed me. That period of time almost killed me. It's hard. It's so hard. But we wouldn't have it any other way, right, Diane? We wouldn't have it any other way. Black Sheep Brad says, Trude, Black Sheep Brad, welcome. Good to see you. Mike Seller says, Google Chrome is giving me the fits. Anyone else having issues this morning? I have not. Diane Vanderlinden says, I left USPS in 2020. You are correct. Changes because of the Postmaster DeJoy. They screwed with our healthcare. It's important to be as self-reliant as possible. Yeah. And I noticed with Canada Post that as the pricing got more and more ridiculous, the discount carriers came in and basically took over. So the competitive nature of our economy will fix the USPS issue. If USPS gets too crazy, the FedExes and the DHLs and them, they're going to offer competitive services and they'll eventually take the market share. So it'll go to private industry, which might not be a bad thing. I don't know, Beanud says, welcome to software engineering. Loose lips sink ships, Josh. Oh yeah. Totally. Beanoods. You want to be open and as transparent as possible. But you do, you have to be careful. I don't think that, for me, it's not like, oh, they're going to take what we're doing or what we're working on and then launch it. That I'm not concerned about. I just don't want them to launch really bad versions of what we're doing and then kind of create this wall in front of us now that we have to climb over and convince everyone, no, this stuff is actually really good. You just got, handed a bologna sandwich when you were asking for lobster ravioli, so that's the big thing for me. And then also, I've been bit a few times with timelines. That's nobody's fault but my own. So I'm giving timelines, getting everyone excited. They're ready for it. They're, taking pictures and doing all this stuff. And then we get something like what James found, where something he's been saying for a long time, that different eBay accounts behave differently or have different structured data or interact differently with the APIs. That was something that James felt. Turns out that's true. That's been proven now. So we have to adjust our systems for that as well, which is fine. And this is no one's fault. I mean, platform's like 30 years old. It is 30 years old. You're going to have different things for different accounts, but we had to learn that through the back end and seeing that there were errors generated for certain accounts that other accounts wouldn't generate. And then brand new accounts had virtually no errors whatsoever. And it doesn't, don't get me wrong. If you have an account from 1998, I'm not saying that you're not going to get any sales and the brand new account is. That's not what I'm saying. It's just minor little things because a lot has changed on the platform and within the API, how it behaves. If you guys know, like, a lot of new item specifics have arrived over the years. Which item specifics are required and which ones aren't. So with those changes, you have to make adjustments for each account because some of those accounts have those changes forced in the API and some don't. The one I can think of is not everybody has UPC on a VHS cassette as a requirement, but some people do. So some people would push something through the API like a VHS tape and it would say the UPC is required. And then other people said, no, it's not. Well, why are we getting these two different answers? Some people don't even have it in their requirement at all. It's not even there. So you can't push data into nothing. It's very, very strange and interesting and fun, kind of. It's like a puzzle. It's like this evolving puzzle. It's a 3D puzzle. It's really interesting. Pig on the Porch says, people are comparing list perfectly to list easier because they are making listings now. I hope the market does not get flooded now. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to worry about the market getting flooded. I don't know anything about what anybody else is doing. If they've crossed the, if they've crossed the divide and they've started generating AI listings, I mean, good for them because my hat is off. The problem sets are huge, especially when you take into account everything that's going on. API differences in every single category. For us, that meant 18,000 different prompts. For others, they'll just do a blanket prompt. Structuring 18,000 different prompts is a heck of a lot of work. It's a lot of sleepless nights. Optimizing each listing is a lot of work. You can't just say it. You have to do it. You have to list hundreds of thousands of items and have beta testers listing hundreds of thousands of items and then monitor what's selling and what isn't. That no one's giving you a roadmap saying, hey, here's what an optimized listing looks like. You have to figure that out by trial and error. It's a ton of work. It's a lot of work. But if they have figured it out and they're doing it now also, my hat is off. It's tough. These are hard problems. And I don't want to ever say anything bad about anyone who's working on solving those problems. My hat is off. My hat is off. These are exceptionally difficult problems. And on top of that, you cannot play games. There's a lot of responsibility. You have to ensure that everyone's data is safe, and properly encrypted. You don't want to be in a situation where something happens and you are liable or you're jeopardizing data. People depend on you for their workflows. So you can't have downtime. People depend on you. If you're saying you're optimizing listings, they're depending on you to optimize those listings so they can get their items sold. So, these are all tough problems and they're all happening at the same time. You got to connect to the API. Different accounts do different things, all this stuff going on. It's tough. It's hard. I think that having multiple people working on these things, it makes us all better because, the one who's going to be there at the end is the one who's really solving these the best, who's really pushing innovation, who's really getting the best results. And if you have competitors, it's a healthy market. That's what you want. That means we're all pushing each other to do better. Binut says, with an application like List Easier, it's way best not to talk about it until it actually launches and your beta's named traditionally. Any alpha or beta is under NDAs. Yeah. So the good thing is with us, this is a good point, Bnudes, but our beta testers largely are our friends. So we just speak to each other over the phone. And it's like, hey guys, don't say anything about this. I know you're influencers, but don't say anything about this. Just quietly work on it and give us feedback. They're like, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. So James had originally signed an NDA, and that was just before we launched. So basically, we hadn't even really built the software yet, so there was a lot on the line. He signed an NDA, and then he was working away on like the buggiest stuff ever back in already May or April or something last year. So, and he's like, well, we got some work to do here. And we did. And he signed an NDA as he worked through it. And you could see he was like doing videos. He's like, you guys, good things are going to happen, but I can't talk about it. But largely they're our friends. We trust them. They know we want the best for them. They want the best for us. And it's a really good relationship. So I would trust these guys with anything. So they would never, do anything to harm us, and we'd never do that to them either. Lou Coyne says, I have a 27-year-old full-time selling eBay account, official old fart. Congrats, Lou. That's a milestone. You yourself you're getting close to 30 years on eBay. So maybe we should have our own 30-year party for you. Time flies though, eh, Lou? It flies. You must be feeling that too. Hustleman 25, welcome. Hello, good to see you. Welcome. There's a new name. Welcome. Rob Special Interest says 8 months from the start, May of last year. 8 months from the start, May of last year. And then I missed something here. We jumped. Ms. Unite says, of course, as well, in software engineering, piracy of idea is commonplace and dangerous, no less, because people can patent ideas when it becomes a matter of courts to go through the nightmares. There's a lot of things that can happen. I know that, an example I can think of is someone needed help solving a problem. So they went to GitHub and they open sourced their backend to get some help with some engineering, and multiple people copied the entire stack and basically destroyed this. Now the software is destroyed because there are so many versions of it out there. So you got to be careful. We don't give up our stack. This was a big thing for us. We've had people reach out to us with requests for partnerships, or we've reached out to them, and the stickler always becomes, we can't, because we can't divulge our stack. Like we just can't divulge it. So any partnership means for us that we don't divulge our stack. We keep that to ourselves. We can't. It's what it's all about. And it's very risky, as you said. You're correct. Behind the Bubble Wrap says, howdy, folks. Howdy, behind the Bubble Wrap. Good to see you. Buck Mountain Barn says, Josh, I was told last night that I can only purchase 100 items, 100 credits per month for List Easier, that I couldn't do more than 100 unless I've had the big subscription. I was under the impression. Chris, you can do as much as you want. Unless your wife is telling you that, I would listen to her. If she says don't only 100, then, I'm not going to get between you two. But you can buy as many credits as you want, Chris. You can go do as much as you want. You can list 100, 200. You can buy blocks of 100, 10 at a time if you want. Whatever you want to do. Um, if you have 200 items to list, spend the $30, no problem. Do the 200. So we're not holding you back, Chris. You can do more than 100 credits if you want. You can do 200, 300, whatever you want. Den Decor Depot. I'm gonna skip Bnude's stuff about computers because I don't understand it, and I'm going to assume that most others don't understand it. Den Decor Depot says I do have a stack of vintage clothing, and Aethys something I dislike listing. I don't like listing clothes either, so you're in good company. Um, Hustleman says, Josh, do you stay in contact with Marcus Dixon Pickens? No, I don't. So every once in a while, because I'm subscribed to his accounts, I'll just show up in his comments or in a live video and be like, "Hey, Marcus, man, you're the best. I appreciate you. We miss you." I just stuff like that, but I don't really know what he's up to. One I haven't heard from is Ed. Do you remember Ed? Ed was selling makeup on Walmart. Ed and I had some great discussions. I really liked Ed. Well, Marcus too, both of them. But those are both guys that I could just spend the day with hanging out. Like that's somebody. Those are guys you want to watch football with, and just laugh and have a good time. So I don't know, really, haven't really kept up with what they're up to. But I do. Marcus still does content, and I show up every once in a while and just say hi and ask him how he's doing. Then I'm gonna skip that there. CJ Beatty says, "Same with me. That may be why we enjoy being here." To 10 Hemlock. That's going to be a comment that's way up, and I'm not going to search for it. Where Pigs Fly Farm, Cindy says, "Love the 11 o'clock motivational hour." Welcome, Cindy. Good to see you here again. Lag says, "The big ups and big downs means you're living. You got skin in the game. Staying in a padded room all day gets boring." I agree with you 100%. And I've had some downs. My thing with my life, hopefully it's not like this anymore, but Lag, I've had very quick ups and very long, deep, painful downs. And I think for me, that was a lot of it was learning. And sometimes over leveraging into things that I believed in, especially when I was younger, which really made life tight, really made things hard. Now, as I get older, I'm a little bit more mature. Things that have worked out, I protect. When I see something like this, the document or list easier, when I see what this looks like and the path that it's on, it's more about being risk averse and just focusing on this disciplined, steady growth. Don't go gangbusters, because going hard and then not, that leads to a lot of ups and downs. But really just staying focused, staying risk averse, and for us, a big part of that, I'm going to talk about the software for a second again, is that when you launch something, you make sure it's working for everybody until you launch the next thing. Make sure absolutely everything is working the way it should be and the way people expect it to be, because at the end of the day, people depend on us. And when you see people saying they're investing tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars into warehouses and buildings and employees and all this other stuff, better make sure you got it right, because they're depending on you, and that's a lot of that's a lot of responsibility. They're saying they trust you with their business, so we need to be there. But yeah, I've had some lows when I was younger, mostly because I took big risks, and nobody could tell me any better. I knew it better, and I took these big risks, and it led to a lot of ups and downs in my life. And I think over the past 10 years, that's mellowed out a lot. Starting this business was hard. Like starting WHS Stereo View was very difficult. I had a lot to learn. I thought I knew a lot about business on paper. And then when I started reading books and I started consuming content from successful entrepreneurs, I realized I didn't have a freaking clue what I was talking about, And I had a long way to go when it comes to practice. Starting a business is almost mostly psychological. Part of that is how much pain can you withstand? Can you withstand pain to the point that you don't care anymore? Like you're just like, I don't care. I'm going to be waking up tomorrow. I don't care what happens. I'm still going to go for it. Sometimes you have, I've had that with business. I've had that with WHS Stereo View. But I agree. I think it was well said, Lag. Thank you. Lag loves the bologna sandwich. Never show your poker hand in software engineering, especially something vertical in a vertical market like List Easier. I agree with you, B-Nudes. Instead of just hype, if you like, build the excitement without spilling the beans. I agree with you there too. Yeah. I think part of it is B-Nudes. I said this already, so I'm kind of repeating myself, but I want to be open. So I want to be just genuine and open and honest that these are the things that are going on. I don't want to like hide things, but unfortunately, not everyone, like you said, things happen. There are people who take advantage or whatever, and you don't want that. So, sometimes you got to be careful. And I might be my own worst enemy. So I'm like 15th. This is coming out. Let's go for it. And then you hit something big like what James found, and 20 days later, it is what it is. James says, just checking in. What's happening, peoples? Good to see you, James. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Like says there are already multiple eBay AI listing apps in the App Store. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I mean, I'm sure there are many people out there who, they'll build one quickly and they'll put it in the App Store, but we have to do it the right way. At the end of the day, Lag, we'll always be there. We're not going anywhere. We are going to be there in the end. It's not a fast, it's not a fast up and down thing. But that's interesting that there are many on the App Store. I'm not concerned about any of it though. Diane says, yeah, I wish the AI could do clothing measurements. I think ThreadUps does now. Have to double check that. I would say, Diane, you could always just whiteboard it. Just make your last picture like 13 or 36 by 33 waist length, or anything that's important. I know a lot of clothing sellers do that. They will have a whiteboard, a dry erase with the measurements. They use that as the last picture. You can either include it or delete it afterwards, but that seems to be the way that our clothing sellers are powering through listings, especially with Flex where it's not getting any context. Second chapter says, hey Josh, I've been working on my death pile this winter and I finally got some old magazines and comic books. I used List Easier and sold a comic book for $1,000 and another for $325 and 15 old mags for $50 each. That's what it's all about, second chapter. Crank it. That's what it's there for. So there you go. $2,000. So your the $70, you probably could have done that with a $15 block, or maybe you spent $70 but you made $2,000. It's awesome. Keep going. So that's the thing, second chapter. Rather than using it as a lever, that was a lever for you, cash lever. I'm going to take all this stuff, I'll put it through, payday, $2,000. So what a lot of people do is they take that $2,000 and they run with it, and then they come back when they need the money again. But what if you just kept doing that over and over and over and over again? That will change your life. That's going to totally change your business and how you operate. James lives near Marcus and says Marcus is doing really well on his new religious channel, is planning on going into full-time content creator by the end of the year, pulling in great numbers. Good for him. Awesome. I know he had a passion for that, so that's awesome. Kenneth Oros says, I'm approaching 10,000 items, so I might go back, trim some listings, delete a few, and create better ones to keep it under 10,000. Whatever works for you, whatever works, Kenneth. Flogger says, hi, Josh. Thanks again for the daily live streams. So much great business and info and advice in these. Thank you. Quick heads up, your blue banner on your site still only says USA and Canada, no mention of the UK and Australia. We'll have to we'll have to fix that. The blue banner. That is an actual easy fix. Blue banner. UK, Australia. That's a good catch. Thank you for that. We are all logging in automatically and working on this thing. So that front end is something we probably don't hardly ever go to. So thank you for that. That's a good one. I've written it down, and I'm gonna take a look at that after. Thank you. Just Beth Cooking, welcome. Happy Friday. Says, should I trust all the item specifics even though they are not in the drop down for clothing and leave them as is? Yeah. So the artificial intelligence is always looking to optimize. It does not matter to the API or the search algorithm if you use the drop downs or not. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you feel better with the item specifics not being in the drop down, but the AI, then switch them to drop down. But the AI is attempting to optimize offsite and onsite. And what happens is sometimes that requires switching the item specifics to one that's not in the dropdown. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the artificial intelligence is prompted to optimize these listings for sale, both onsite and offsite. It's given, multiple back tests of why did it choose that, multiple tests of will it optimize for AIO, surfaceability, searchability, discoverability, all these things, SEO rank. And it is doing its best with all those parameters to give a fully optimized listing. And sometimes that includes switching item specifics to ones that are not in the dropdown. But we have not, in the hundreds of thousands of tests that we've done, including clothing, there's clothing back there, we've only seen better results using the software than not, like dramatically so. Even over the course of large data sets, dramatically better performance. Diane Vanderlyn says, okay, I hadn't thought of that. ThreadUp says they use computer vision to measure. Yeah, everybody does. Everyone uses the same computer vision. They probably use similar models to us, but I would say less refined. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say anything. I shouldn't have said that. Everybody uses computer vision. That's all I'm going to say. So with that, everyone, I appreciate you all. I thank you all for joining me. Enjoy your weekend. Take time off. Don't work this weekend. Relax. Take it easy. And then we'll go back at it Monday hard. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care.